Why I never ride on the TET Roads? This is a question that I have been asked a number of times. In this video, I'm gonna tell you the answer. So if you have nothing to do, grab your favorite drink and stay with me. Welcome back. For those of you who don't know, the short word TET comes from Trans-Euro Trail. Regarding their website, Trans-Euro Trail is cultural dirt road adventure from deep within the Arctic Circle to the doorstep of Africa and back. Europe's dirt road motorcycle adventure is more than 100,000 kilometers GPX route from the edge of Africa to the Arctic Circle. It was created by an adventure motorcycle community and provided for free. If you go to the main website, you will find a detailed map for every country that is part of TET. Let's say Albania, Bulgaria or many others. Fantastic website, thank you very much to the owners and to everyone who helped to create this wonderful database. As I said, you can download GPX files to every country that you plan to visit. Fantastic, highly recommended. Now back to the question, why I don't ride on TET Roads? Well, the answer is very obvious and we're gonna come to it in a minute, but let's now see who are the people who love to ride on the TET Roads. Usually these are dirt roads riders with their light machines that prefer to have something more, a little bit longer distances than the usual stuff, or owners of adventure motorcycles that will like to have a different experience. I perfectly understand both options, dirt and adventure riders, but I used to ride dirt bikes around my hometown Varna, Bulgaria for 6 or 7 years. It was a great fun, I really enjoyed, but I wanted something different. I wanted to cover more miles, to have some kind of purpose or goal of every one of my day rides. But instead of that, we usually finish climbing hills and trying to destroy our motorcycles. It was not enough for me. As I said, I wanted something different, and because of that, I finished riding alone, making my own plans, completing my mini goals. And back in the days, I was very busy. I had my own car rental business with more than 34 cars, and I was very busy. The only free time that I can steal was something like half a day per week. I wanted this half day to be planned and executed properly, to have more than enough miles to enjoy the ride, but also technical terrain here and there to improve my skills. I wanted to feel the freedom of nature, but also to have the pleasure of completed tasks, if you understand what I mean. On some stage, I realized that these few hours per week worth it much more than the rest of the time that I have left during that week. They make me feel alive, close to nature and happy. And then I start asking myself the question, what will be if I take another step further and start traveling around the world? Back in the days, it was Soviet mopeds and motorcycles. When I was about 20, only sport bikes, fast motorcycles in the town with 250 kilometers per hour. Anything that you know from your days, I have done it. I know that I was stupid, but this was the situation. Anyway, later, these dual sport motorcycles came into the market. Suzuki DR 800, the old Africa Twin, and I loved it very much. And I never moved back to the sport machines because I just loved this straight position. I was traveling here and there around the country, make short trips like 200-300 kilometers, but that was everything. And when I started riding dirt bikes, I was always wondering what will be if you're able to cover many kilometers with this dirt motorcycle. I was dreaming for Dakar, something like Dakar, to cover so many kilometers, to have this independence, this wild nature and so on, but never actually figured out how to do it. The phrase adventure motorcycle was not existing. So now I was wondering how I can combine these both worlds, dirt ridings and traveling, how I can mix it together and enjoy the days. To be possible for me to ride on the road, then crossing a mountain with very bad dirt road and continue on the other side of the mountain. This was the question that I have had. So a bit late, this TET formula came into the market. And you might think that this will be the perfect solution. You can enjoy the ride and cover many miles and have this dirt experience and everything. And I will agree, this will be a perfect solution for many, but not for me. If you ask why, because I'm Bulgarian. We always dream big. I want to see the whole world, all 5 continents, 195 countries. So what will be the problem to see the whole world on TET Roads, you might ask? First of all, TET stands from Trans-Euro Trail, only Europe. But let's assume that we're talking about off-road. What will be the problem to see the whole world on off-road tracks only? Well, there are actually not one, there are actually many problems. Let me explain to you what they are. Number one, the time is not going to be enough. If you remember, the countries around the world are 195. If I am able to cover on dirt roads only off-road 1 or 2 countries per year, because this will be the maximum that most of the people can afford, include me back in the days, I will need at least 100 years to see them all. Let's pretend that I will be able to see 5 countries per year. Will be very difficult, but let's say I'm working very hard to see 5 countries per year. I will still need 40 years. Back in the days when I was making these plans, I was 35 years old. In the best scenario, I will be 75. How many people are able to ride their motorcycles over 65? Not many. Who can guarantee that I will have the health to ride? No one. Yes, Pavlin, you're right, but if you're able to make 10 or 20 countries per year, you can make it. Is that so? Don't you think that I already checked this option as well? It is physically impossible. Let me explain to you why. Usually, on the dirt roads, my average speed is around 30 kilometers per hour. So, for 10 hours riding, I can cover maximum 300 kilometers. And here you might say, oh, no way, Pavlin, on dirt roads I ride very fast, on some sections I will have 100-120 kilometers per hour. I am sure that you can do it. I also can do it here and there, but we are talking about average speed, which is mean that you have top speed and you have low speed, and you have the average at the end of the day, because on many sections you will need to use first, second gear, some technical terrain, to slow down, to stop, to have brakes, to fill petrol, to eat, and all of this will slow you down to 30, maximum 40 kilometers per hour if the road is really straight. So let's now assume that I will ride 10 hours per day and I will cover 300 kilometers. Sounds realistic, right? And you can say, okay, 300 kilometers, you can see many things in one country, and then on the next day you can have another 300 kilometers. If the countries are small, you can cover a lot of kilometers, especially around the Balkans. You're right, on the Balkans you can do it. But let's take one example. Last year I went to Magadan. The whole trip was 39,000 kilometers. If I split it on 3 months, 90 days, this is exactly what the trip was, the average kilometers per day are 433 kilometers per day. If you compare it with this 300 per day only on the dirt roads, you'll start seeing that they are not really realistic, because on my Magadan trip I had a lot of roads. The whole trip, 39,000 kilometers, I actually had only 5,000 kilometers dirt roads. The rest, 34,000 kilometers, were perfect asphalt roads. So if I was able to make 430 kilometers on asphalt roads mostly, who can guarantee that you'll make 300 off-road every single day, day after day, for many thousands of kilometers? So I will say more realistically, you have to be something like 200 kilometers per day. This will be the reality if you start traveling off-road, if you go on TET roads. 250 kilometers per day will be the maximum. So if I use this 200 kilometers per day and go all the way from Varna to Magadan only off-road, it will have taken me not 3 months, it will be more than 6 months before I complete it. So the difference will be double in time, and time means more money for hotels, more money for food, more money for everything. It will be double more time and double more money. Hotel, hostel, campings are also not cheap. Instead, you're traveling with your own tent and never pay for anything. But I cannot imagine that you can do it for 6 months. Even so, will be difficult, and you'll have an additional expenses, probably a new tent to buy, or new mattress, or new pillow, something that you will ruin during this journey. Anyway, I said it is physically impossible, but actually it is possible if you're some kind of bored millionaire that has nothing to do except traveling with motorcycle. Then maybe you'll have enough time and money to do it in your lifetime. But for most of mortal people like me and you, this will be impossible task. The second problem is that you'll need many very well prepared motorcycles. As you already know, or maybe you don't, but if you plan to ride only off-road for hundreds of thousands of kilometers, you will need very special machine, very well prepared. You cannot really make it with a standard stock motorcycle that you have at home. You can, but it is not going to last that much. As I said, you're gonna need something different, and these very well prepared for off-roading motorcycles are not cheap at all. Also keep in mind that this motorcycle will wear much faster. Chains, sprockets, suspension, oils, filters, everything. You're gonna ride many days, weeks, months in dusty, muddy, rainy conditions. All of this will ruin the whole motorcycle, all electric system, as I said, suspension, everything. So you have to change many parts much more often than the usual road travelings. And the usual life of this type of motorcycles is no more than 100,000 kilometers, and it is only if you're a lucky man like me. In most of the cases, you're gonna destroy it much faster than this, especially if you have some not so reliable brands. In my opinion, to see the whole world only on the roads, you'll need something like 500,000 kilometers. If you want to do it off-road, there will be even more. So this means technically that you'll need at least 5 very well prepared expensive motorcycles and a lot of spare parts, tools and everything during this mission. That's why for most of the people like me and you, this is going to be impossible. As I said, for some bored millionaires this might be not a problem at all, but for most of the people will be impossible. And also don't forget that there is another one. Number 3, many historical places. One of the reasons I travel is to see many interesting and historical places around the world. How I'm gonna see Berlin, London, New York or any other place if I only ride on the TET Roads? Yes, I will see all of these dirt tracks here and there everywhere, but what about towns and cities? How I'm gonna meet people? How I'm gonna communicate with population? How I'm gonna have my impressions if I only see the forests and mountains? So all of this is, as I said, it's different. Or maybe I should have 2 different types of trips, one only for off-road and one for road to see the whole world, which will make everything double more expensive. And because of these reasons, I travel the way I travel, the way you have seen on my trips. I always try to include some dirt roads here and there. Most of the time I try to make it like connection between the main roads to be possible for me to see at least part of the dirt roads in a specific country. And I actually have been to many sections of these TET Roads in many countries, Spain, Italy, Germany, Norway, in many sections. I already been there without a specific goal to go and see it, because they're just, as I said, my connections here and there. But I cannot afford to focus only on this and miss the rest of so many interesting things, because off-road riding never been priority for me, if you understand what I mean. You might be different, and I perfectly understand it. Alright, with everything that I just told you and the examples that I gave you, should be perfectly clear why I don't ride on TET Roads. I don't have any goals to become the best off-road TET rider or to click all possible TET options. I'm just not interested in it. I'm not saying that it's bad or stupid. No, it is just not my thing. My goal always been the same, to see the whole world, not to become the best off-road rider or anything else. I hope that you will understand. I also hope that this video will help you at least one person to make the right choice and to complete his or her goals. press like or dislike, whatever the video deserves. If you subscribe, even better. Don't forget that on my second channel, Motorcycle Adventures Life, I start uploading the preparations video for my trip to South America. On my third channel, Motorcycle Adventures Life, I'm uploading live streams once per week. Over there, you can learn a lot. All the details will be in the description down below. See you next time.